February 27th to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good. Welcome to Foster, the new visitors. All right. For announcements, I just have one thing. So the dirt roads, we are working on them, okay? But we need your patience. This is probably one of the worst years we've had in a decade. The frost below it's still frozen, okay? Everything's melting on top. There's no place for the water to go. So we're doing temporary fixes right now. This is not permanent fixes. They're temporary fixes. So when you see them putting stone down in the ruts, they're temporary so you can drive on them. That's all it is. But just give us some patience. We are working on it. There's no quick fix for these roads at all. Okay. Just want to make that announcement. Anything with public comment?
Nothing.
Okay. Consent agenda?
Make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as presented.
We have a
Second.
motion
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Chief, swearing in. Hey, town council, I'm gonna actually stand. Okay. We're gonna stand.
Officer Lombardi, this is the newest member of our police department. So you know we are.
Yeah, they can't hear you on the Zoom.
Oh.
If you want to take that, you may just have to hold it. Or put it on the podium in front of you.
You use the board.
This is fine, this is fine. As I was saying, this is the newest member of the Foster Police Department. We are lovingly known as the Pawtucket Pipeline now because we have three excellent officers from Pawtucket that have retired. I also have a fantastic lateral officer from DEM, along with our younger officers that are just, I'm so proud of everybody. So tonight, even though you've been here a little bit, we're gonna officially swear you in. And now you're stuck with us. How's that? So if you could just face me and raise your right hand. And if everyone could just make sure that their phones are off. Phones are off or on silent, please. Do you, Christopher Lombardi, solemnly swear that you will be true and faithful unto the town of Foster and support the town charter, and that you will be true and faithful unto this state and support the laws and constitution thereof, and the Constitution of the United States, and that you will well and truly execute the position of Foster Police Officer for which you have been appointed or elected, or until another be engaged in your place, or until you be legally discharged therefrom. So help you God. Congratulations. Welcome, Chris Lombardi, to the Foster Police. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Gina.
Officer Lombardi, if you'd like to take some pictures, feel free. I don't know if your family will like to take pictures.
Mrs. Lombardi. We're gonna do one with all the officers.
You want that? You want that? Yeah.
Where is that?
That's right there.
You got it. Oh, yeah.
Steve, absolutely, yes.
Just touch each other. Can you get us all in? All right, happy to. Thank you. Did you get all the officers? Yeah. Yeah, one more with everybody. Might as well. Thank you, everybody, thanks. for being
Great.
here.
Oh, somebody, just gotta watch for that Marine.
Watch the mud.
Yeah. No, we didn't. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Okay. Check that on.
Thanks for coming. Okay, old business. Item number 1, we have the police department MOU for the replacing the IMC. So that is, so we can get them into the third quarter, which we are planning to have, hopefully, the new police station there, ready to go. To get on their list, we do have to approve this, so I can sign it and send it off. So I will entertain a motion.
I looked at that. I would make a motion to. Sorry. I'll make a motion to approve the police department memorandum of understanding for the CAD RMS replacing IMC.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Question.
Yes.
Steve.
She's not a. Here,
There
oh,
you go.
you are.
Just on the section of infrastructure, the Foster Police Department's responsible for the purchase and installation or maintenance of equipment. Now, is this equipment we already have, or is this going to be additional for us to purchase?
So right
On
now, it's the
top
equipment
of-
we already have. It's
Okay.
it's their computer systems that they have now, their desktops, their laptops.
So,
That's what's gonna be put
so
on.
then it'll only be the price that we see on the
Correct.
pages.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that, because I
Yeah.
wasn't sure.
Yeah, well, obviously we have to work on the IT side also, but that's not part of this project. So the IT would actually bring the circuit in for that, for their computers. That's a different project. though.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? RIPTA, the Safe Streets for All. So I did receive an email back with a link to the grant. So it is an 80-20. It is not 100%.
Matt.
So it's a 20% match for the town. I think it's something we should revisit to see, in my opinion, what we can do with that grant. It was okay as submitted in my opinion. There are things I think we could work on. Crosswalks, that's very important for the kids crossing. I think one of the things we may have missed was a light control for 6 and 94, because I think with a crosswalk without a light control, we may have an issue.
I think there's a light control there now.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, there is. Okay. On the
Yeah.
side that we're gonna do the crosswalk. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're actually used to go up there as well, but when they repaved it, they went.
It was. Okay. So it's just repainting that crosswalk. Okay. That's good to know. Yeah, absolutely.
In that email, didn't it say it was 80-20, but the 20, the state would most likely, the state of Rhode Island would most likely pick up?
That was how was it exactly written, most likely.
I think-
Possibly, yeah.
I think Gina, and I will defer to Kelly. When we get a grant from the state and it's a match, if they say 80%, that's what the state is willing to pick up. They're not, and if it's a 20 match from the town, I don't think the state is gonna also pick up our 20%. Is that correct,
I think-
Kelly?
think
I
one
don't.
of the things with this one though, I think this one is actually a federal. This is federal, RIPTA, yeah.
It's a federal.
And the state may pick up the
May
20,
pick up, right?
May.
There is a
Okay.
possibility of that, but generally, many of our grants, they'll actually have an exclusion that you can't use grant money to fund a grant as
It
a
does say that.
match.
Mhm.
So if this grant specifies that, then you wouldn't be able to use a grant.
'Cause
to
we would
fund
need a-
From the
a
state.
grant.
Because we would need another grant from the state to cover the
Right.
20%.
No, but what I'm saying is, generally speaking,
Mm.
the exclusions from your 20% match is that you can't use a grant from another source to fund
To fund the
A
grant.
grant.
to fund the match for the grant. I don't know if that's the case with this. We'd have to just vet it. That's all.
Yeah, that's something we'll have to do some research on. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yes.
I had it on. Lynn Ryder Burgess wrote, how much money are we talking? 20%?
It depends on the project.
Yeah, it depends on the project.
So average. Chief, have you-
I couldn't put a number on it.
They didn't provide,
Yeah.
their specifications did not provide a financial estimate.
Okay, thank you.
No, and they didn't provide a financial estimate because they don't know exactly what
Right.
the projects will be.
Right.
We haven't, agreed on exactly what they'd be doing.
Right.
So that's something that.
What is the deadline for that, Gina? I don't recall.
I didn't see one on there.
They
There isn't one.
They wanted to, didn't they say that? Didn't they say that, they needed to know by the end of next month, March.
I was trying to remember because we had
It
a
was
couple
very
of different things. Yes.
It was very
and-
soon. I think April was the drop dead time. They wanted to get something written up by April.
Mhm.
But I think we had to have a decision for them sometime in March. I don't know the date off the top of my head. I can find that out though.
Yeah.
March 2025, just looked up last.
March 2025, what? Oh, we are in 25. Yeah,
March.
right.
So-
But we're not in March for another day.
Yeah, so in March, yes.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah, no, not that.
If you won't know the number until you know what you want to go for, shouldn't you decide what you want to go for now if you're going to be discussing this during the budget in March?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna find out what we're gonna go for first, which we need to discuss, and then we'll send it back, and then I'll come up with the finances, and then we'll vote on that
All right.
at that point, yeah. Especially because it's 80-20 now. If it was 100% initially,
Mm.
then. Yes,
I do want to say that we could probably use capital money to fund this, so we could discuss it too during the budget cycle for capital outlay.
Okay.
Okay.
thank you. Is there any other discussion right now on safer streets?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so I'm gonna put that on old business for the next meeting. Forest Conservation Commission. Okay, so that was a letter to us to advise us of a grant that would possibly cover something within the conservation side. One of the things that they requested was another Saturday or 3 Saturdays, one per other quarter other than Earth Day, to open up the dump over here for refuse. So looking at the numbers, in my opinion, if we have one employee, DPW employee, cover a Saturday per quarter.
It was mandatory 3 hours.
Yeah, I think we should do 4. In my opinion, we can discuss that. 4 hours.
4 hours.
4 hours, yeah.
Mhm.
It's pretty short money. For 4 hours for one employee. I spoke with the DPW director also, and one employee would be good. That would cover and would be open for those 3 extra days, which may help with people actually throwing it in their garbage, which we're trying to prevent. So, other than Earth Day, we got those other 3 days we can work on.
Like a correction on their letter. The letter said that DPW was open Monday through Thursday.
They're 5 days a week.
And I had a question about that too, Steve, and I had actually mentioned it to you before. If people are coming and bringing couches
Mhm.
and things like that, is there gonna be a cost for that? Because whether it's on the curb or they bring it on that day, we're still gonna be paying
Still gonna
the
be full.
tonnage.
Yeah.
We're still gonna be paying the tonnage. I mean, it's great for people not to have it on the curb
Right.
and be able to bring it somewhere, but at the end of the day, it's not gonna help the town as far as the overage.
It just prevents it from going into the everyday garbage, but
It
it still
prevents
goes,
it
it
from
still
sitting
goes.
on the
Yeah.
curb until the
Yeah.
trash picks it up.
I think some of that stuff we can recycle. I know furniture we can't.
Right.
The furniture cannot be brought to the garage. We don't have a transfer license, so no garages, no
Okay.
chairs, no tables, no nothing. The only thing that would be allowed to come to the garage is the things we accept Monday through Friday, is electronics, mattresses, light metal, and motor oil. They
Is
do
that what
have.
they do on Earth Day? Is that,
No, on Earth Day, we take paint, tires and everything else. We cannot accept them. Now, we're not an Eco Depot. The only thing we're gonna be allowed to accept is what we accept Monday through Friday.
okay,
We don't have the facility to store the paint.
Yeah.
We don't have the facility to store batteries, tires. The only tires we get are the ones that are thrown in the woods. Obviously, we gotta pick them up on the side of the road and collect them and pay to get rid of them. So, once we start collecting these things that we're not supposed to collect, you need a transfer license. Couches, stuff that we're not allowed to take.
okay.
So, it would be the normal things. Also, I think my foreman brought up that the Foster Home Journal says we don't take oil. That needs to be corrected. We use oil to heat our garage. So if people are not bringing oil, we're gonna be paying for diesel fuel, heating oil. So that
Okay.
needs to be corrected in their information they put out in the Foster Home Journal. We save a lot of money taking drain oil and we heat our garage. If they stop bringing that as advertised in the Foster Home Journal, we're gonna be spending a lot of money to heat that large garage.
Okay. Great. Yes,
Tony McClellan from the Conservation Commission. At Earth Day, we do not accept paint, so I just
Okay.
want to correct the director on that one. Also, the DPW is not open on Earth Day, so it's not 3 additional days, it's 3 days. We will, at times, if there's oil, people drop oil at the conservation fair. We walk it down there,
Mhm.
but the facility is not open for the general public to bring things into the DPW on Earth Day. We do accept tires and trash from the roadside cleanup. People have brought oil and we take it because otherwise, as he said, it's going to go in the woods and
Yep.
none of us want that to
right,
happen.
right.
The Eco Depot, we haven't had an Eco Depot in Foster for, I think, 7 years, 6, 7 years, and we can't get one to come back, but we always provide people who do arrive on Earth Day with the dates for the nearest local Eco Depots, often in Burrillville, Cumberland, Coventry.
So the stuff that you receive on Earth Day,
Yep.
how is that disposed of?
Luvinago donates several dumpsters, one for trash, one for recycling. And we also have a truck for electronic waste, which is a huge hit.
Yeah.
We've had a paper shredder truck that's been sort of hit or miss. It's not really worth the expense because not enough people are bringing stuff to shred.
Right.
So primarily, aside from the conservation fair that happens, it's primarily roadside trash that people pick up. We provide bags, people collect it, bring it in, that goes in one dumpster. Roadside recycling, same thing, and then tires. And people are charged $5 a tire for car-sized tires, $10 for a truck-sized tire. And Susan Dillon in the past has been there to collect those fees.
Okay, so those 3 Saturdays that we're debating on.
Yes.
Having it open.
Yep.
With one employee.
Mhm.
If we don't have a donation from Lake Venaro, we can't take the same things that we take on Earth
Right,
Day.
but we can, correct, but we
Okay.
can take the oils, as the director said, oils, mattresses, light metals, and electronics.
I know the discussion initially
Yeah.
was to kind of mirror Earth Day 3
Right.
more times.
Right, yep.
If if we can't mirror Earth Day, if we don't have another donation to take that waste away.
Well, the
It
only
won't be able to
donate,
come
the only donation that the DPW wouldn't take that does come in on Earth Days is trash and recycling, which people, and that's roadside stuff, not people's home trash.
Well, you said
obviously.
tires also, right?
The tires, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so they won't,
tires,
yeah, because they can't take tires
Yep.
and stuff, so.
Yep.
Um,
No, but we're thrilled that you guys are giving strong consideration
Yeah,
to
'cause
having the 3 Saturday. That's
yeah, we
fantastic.
want to give the town an opportunity, obviously,
Sure.
on days other than Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
And it will help. But now I'm questioning the cost of disposal.
Mm.
Because we can't take the stuff that we normally take on Earth Day on those other
Right.
3 Saturdays. because then
tires,
it's an
pretty
extra
much, that's
cost,
it. Yeah.
which We can't because we,
Right. Because we can't do the transfer component. Yep. Are tires, would that be considered a transfer if there was a tire dumpster or something on those 3 Saturdays?
We pay heavily for, and then we also have to pay our guys to load the truck out to the loader and take it to the landfill. So
Okay.
usually we collect on the roadside from, people throwing them out,
Right,
not very many, and plus what we recycle on the trucks. Our own tires we get rid of.
okay,
Once you start opening up the tires, I have the same man, that's because.
yeah.
The policing of it, because, for example, I'll use the example of the salt bin up at the end of the garage there. There's a lot of people from different towns that actually come and use that. They don't say it, they'll tell you they're from Forster. When you start taking mattresses, it doesn't cost us anything to get rid of them. Now the electronics, we're paying $150 to empty the trailer. It used to be for nothing. So now that fills up. Once we start taking tires, you're gonna get tires from people from out of town. Oh, it's my mother's house. She lives on this road. And you will be paying to get rid of tires and everything from everybody else in the state. So unless you have proof of licenses and, it's not like a dump where they get a sticker, they come in, they can see it. It kind of gets willy-nilly when you start doing tires and once the
Yeah, we need
secret's
checks
out. I
and
think
check and balance.
we probably do a mattress dumpster 3 to 4 weeks. 3 to 4 weeks, we fill a 20-foot shipping container, 8 feet high, 8 feet wide, 20 feet deep. I can pretty much guarantee you they're not all from Forster, but I don't police it. It doesn't cost us anything. They swap it out, doesn't cost us a dime. Once you start getting into tires and stuff like that, that's where you're gonna stop paying. Electronics and tires, you're gonna stop paying heavily. So just a warning.
So I wonder if the conservation can look to see maybe if Venargo can do 3 more Saturdays.
just for tires? Yeah, potentially, we could.
Or for Earth Day type.
But the only thing that people would or might bring that they couldn't already bring to the DPW is tires.
Is it just
Yeah,
tires?
that's
Okay.
just tires.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. so-
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just tires.
Yeah, so maybe just with tires, maybe we can see if Venargo, or you guys can check to see if
Yeah.
Venargo will donate.
Yeah, the main goal is to keep the oils and the metals and everything out of the woods.
Right,
And out
absolutely.
of draining out of somebody's barn when they change the
Right.
tractor oil and they just dump it in the ground. So if we can do that 3 or 4 times a year, essentially, that's
right.
wonderful.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
definitely. Yes,
I can ask him. Okay. Lynn Ryder, Burgess Road. I'm curious, why can't we get an Eco Depot? Almost every other town has them come.
Mhm.
Why can't we? I mean, one of our
Actually, sure.
big problems is that we need to recycle more. And you would think that the state would want to support that. And besides, I think the Eco Depot would be most beneficial because pesticides, old fertilizer, stuff like that, that people end up, throwing in the trash,
Mhm.
hidden at the bottom. But I know that people, when we did have the Eco Depot that one time, people were bringing boxes of, Roundup and wasp spray.
the last time was about
containers.
7 years ago.
Yeah.
That was- Yeah,
So,
yeah, I can look into that. I'll look into that.
okay,
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
rattle some.
Yep. I'm good at that.
Can I just say something?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Bob Horton, East Killing Road. It's actually for Gordon. Gordon. I know a couple of years ago, you had brought up the idea of charging a fee to get rid of furniture, things like that. Has there been any movement on that? Because if we could cover the costs, if you make it convenient for people to get rid of the stuff rather than putting it out by the roadside, which just adds to the tipping costs. I thought it was an excellent idea. I have no problem paying a fee to get rid of some old furniture that I have. Or in the
Yeah.
case of tires, you know, I don't know what the cost is to get rid of it, but if you charge the appropriate amount to people bringing in tires to cover that cost, I think that might be an option to consider.
Yeah, the furniture with the flags, we're working on that.
I'll
Oh,
answer
sorry,
that
go
for Bob. Chris and I started working on that last year. And it came up on a couple of meetings. And basically, what we need to do is just make sure we have a comprehensive list. I mean, other things have come before us, like having ordinance stuff, so that's kind of fallen behind a little bit. But I was telling Steve that it's something that we need to get back on. It's just determining the prices of different things, different, like a couch versus a recliner or a refrigerator. Like there's Freon, non-Freon. I've talked to Gordon about this and I've looked at lists from other towns. So we haven't forgotten about that. It's just we had, you know, when we had all the ordinances and stuff, it just, you know, it just kind of, it wasn't
It went to the
it-
background.
right, we just couldn't do it with all of that stuff. But I do still have a basic list. I have the sample tickets. We met with Rambone and Gordon, Chris and I went and met with Rambone, and they are willing, if we do this ordinance or policy, and somebody has a couch out on the curb, they are willing, if we provide them with stickers, to put a sticker on it and direct them to the town clerk. We do not pick these up. You must call the town clerk and there's a fee. They are willing to do that when they come across stuff like that. So we do have to finalize it. It's just, we got sidetracked with a lot
Well,
of
Number
ordinance.
two, the new business is the
Yeah, yeah.
expiration of the contract,
Right.
Yep.
the RFP.
Mm.
I would like to include this in the new contract.
Okay. So we're gonna work on that, Bob. It's just, we need to get through. We need to get through some of these ordinances, but yeah,
Well,
right.
Keep hanging on to it, Bob. We're working on it.
Yes.
Dennis Therian, South Killingly Road. Every year we collect the tires on Earth Day. So just a quick point, maybe we don't need to be collecting them when it's open. You know, when we have the extra 2 days.
Yeah.
We don't have to, probably don't need it. We do pretty good. Everybody knows that we do pretty good on Earth Day cleaning it all up. So.
Yeah, so I just left that in there only because we were trying to for Earth Day. That was the original request. So I don't, so what we can do is we can put it on old business, on research, you can get, but those 3 days. On it, with, without. The cost is, that's not the cost we were looking at.
Ignore tires on those other 3 Saturdays. Earth Day. And then have this in works so things can get rolling. Earth Day is April 26th. So 3 months from that, and 3 months from that, we can set a calendar, we can advertise that on Earth Day and in other publications.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, so just some clarity on sort of where the town council is at the moment. Is it going to be decided? Is it coming? Is it pending for another session and so forth?
Yeah, if you're willing to take the extra expense out.
Yeah,
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 so
that's
it's-
fine.
okay.
Yeah. Yep, okay, great, thank you.
I was just gonna mention with the tires, you have to have somebody there to charge $5 and collect fees, and I don't think my guys qualify for that. The clerk usually does that on Earth Day, so if we are, apparently we're not now, but if we were gonna put a dumpster up there, you're gonna have to have an additional person to collect the money and.
Okay, yeah, so that's another,
You know, my guys are not
So probably.
They're not
the best
money
thing is to
collectors.
Not do.
They're not money collectors.
No. Okay. So actually, so I will entertain a motion for 3 additional Saturdays for 4 hours. Non-household waste,
We'll have to create a list, Steve.
yeah, I know, because, yeah, we're gonna have,
Yeah, I,
Can you just itemize the list that is accepted? rather than create
Right.
a list that's
Right,
not?
that's what
yeah,
that's
okay,
what I
so
was
that's
saying.
what, yeah, all right,
We'll just make a list.
yeah, that's fine.
So-
We don't- I guess that, yeah, we don't have to have that.
so are we
We can
gonna,
put it
we'll
on the
make a
website.
list? Do you want to continue this to set dates in stone later? Because we've
I think
already
we
got,
set the days.
you want to set the dates and then we make
I-
a list?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it. Let's
Yeah,
get it
let's
over
Set the
with.
days.
So you said Earth Day is April 26th, so
Yeah,
we're
that-
looking at March, April, May, June, July. You want one in July?
You gotta go past that point, because that's all home days, right?
Well, I mean,
Is-
we could do it
Oh,
in
we
the
just
middle
won't do
of
it
the
on that,
month
we
or,
won't do it on that day.
I think we could further director on the best Saturdays.
okay,
We can do it that way too.
yeah.
I would kindly
Yeah.
recommend that you don't do it anytime after November through March, because when we have snow events, you know.
Yeah,
we're
yeah, you
not
never
gonna have-
know.
and-
Probably
And
not.
that's, you know, and we got mud
Yeah,
season and
yep.
stuff, so those are busy times. So if you do it, the summer's the best and the fall's the best. All bets are off after November through mud season, which is March through April.
So why don't we?
What are you suggesting, Kelly? You said not July.
It's vacation in the summer, so that seems to be that, if he thinks he can get coverage, then that's fine.
Yeah, so why don't we entertain, I'll entertain a motion for 3 additional Saturdays. With scheduling direction from DPW director.
Does that work for you?
Yeah,
That work for you?
That-
Yeah, if we go, if it's April, then June, August, October,
Yeah.
gets
Yeah.
6 months. Then we stay away from the winter.
Yeah, everybody's hunkered down in the winter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll leave it with the DPW director to schedule.
Mhm.
That's all they do.
And if they're cleaning out, it's either covered with snow or leaves, and they will see it again in April.
Right,
Right.
right.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to add. Well, I'm not gonna add because we're not adding. You already have your Earth Day. To open the DPW garage for disposal of household goods for 3 Saturdays in the year. To be, for 4 hours, to be coordinated between Conservation Commission and the DPW director.
Sure.
Does that work?
Those months were pretty good that he needed, if you want to hit the second, third,
Yeah,
or
let's-
Saturday in the month,
yeah.
go right ahead and do it.
Let's go the last Saturday of the month,
Yep,
June, August, October.
Yep.
Does that work?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
is that,
but
then you
I
don't remember a
don't-
date, you just know it's the last Saturday, get my stuff to the DPW.
Okay, so my motion was
Yeah, just.
to have you guys work it out
Just did.
amongst you, because if we set these dates
Yeah,
in
don't-
stone and then something happens,
Then we need
something
a whole
changes,
nother
Yeah,
debate.
we
set
need
the
another
dates.
whole
Yep,
thing.
yep.
So that's my motion.
Great,
Do we have
okay.
a second?
Second,
Any discussion? No discussion? Okay, all in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Said household and not non-household. I don't know what anybody else heard.
Didn't it say household waste?
Non-household,
It said
non-household.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, all right, my emotion is amended to reflect that household waste.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Right, passes. New business.
Steve, can I make a motion to move item 4, presentation of legislative grants up to this point in the meeting and then continue with new business?
Do we have a
second.
second? We have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
you good?
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate that moving up. I have an event in Cranston I have to go attend. This is kind of a yearly thing. It makes it easier for me. At one time I had handed the grants out And then I kind of got yelled at by the treasurer because they had to be returned to her to go through the proper procedure. So
Kelly.
just like last year, I actually got a little bit more to present this year. There'll be more coming in, but I have 5 grants, legislative grants that have been applied for and given, and I'll go down the list. I have one for Forster Center Fire Station
Thank you.
for $1,000. I have one for Forster Human Services for $1,000. Forster Rec for $500. Forster Town of Forster Senior Services for $2,500. And Tyler Free Library for $500. That 5 grants. And it's a pleasure to do this.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Gordon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Do they need to go? Kelly?
Kelly says, give it to me.
I'm good, right?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
See ya.
I will.
Okay, RIEMA. This is in regards to the update of the completion of the tower at Woody Loudon. Hi.
Thank you very much. My name is Mark Pappas, and I'm the State Director of Emergency Management. I just wanted to give you a quick update on the status of the tower build. As you'll know, last year we entered into agreement with the town to put up the tower, and I'm happy to say mission complete. So it's done. It's actually running. And I wanted to just thank everybody, including the police chief and her team, for being outstanding. And everybody else that we dealt with from the town was just seamless. We consider it like the gold standard of how it should always run, because it's never gone that easy before. And we're putting up 2 more now, and it's not going that easy with those. So
That's good.
you folks get the prize for that. So it helps everybody. I think we know that the chief and her team have noticed a coverage difference. And so it's actually not just for the town, but it also helps with mutual aid that comes into the town as well. DPW, DEM police, state police as well, all benefit. And it was no cost. I think the total project cost is about $1.4 million. We didn't charge at the town at all. And we actually migrated some of your town VHF equipment over to the tower space, so we didn't charge for that either. So everything's up and running. I just wanted to come in real quick and say thank you. I got an added benefit tonight of seeing Chris Lombardi get sworn in. Okay, so I broke him in when I was on. Yeah, I did. And I broke Dennis Smith in too. Yeah. Now, so, hey, just by the way, because it's his first night, he raised his hand. He is such a quality police officer. You've done well in getting that guy. So congratulations. He's
Thank you.
He's really good. I'm open to take any questions if anybody has any.
I've just heard that the communications, I'm with fire and rescue.
Yeah.
And I've just heard that the communications are much better. It was kind of scary on that side of town for many years.
No, I know. And
was.
we knew that. And so that's why this project was so important, because when the first responders go and they don't have radio comms, that really jeopardizes.
It does. And you don't have cell phone service over there either. So
We don't do cell service.
No, that's
Sorry.
okay.
And I don't have any mattresses or tires.
Yeah. No, you just don't even have a
You didn't
backup.
tell 'em in the woods on the way, did you?
Yeah.
I did not. I lived one town over, so.
Yeah, there was just not even a backup on that side of town.
Yeah,
Really, so
we're
many
just
dead
delighted
spots.
that it's so much better. Bill, do you
Yes.
have anything to add?
The town was, they were instrumental in making a lot of things move forward for
Yeah.
us in a timely fashion. The DPW director left, but it was very good to see that, they had plowed the access right up to the gate for us. We had some work, the town's vendors had to get in to do some work, and it was cleared right up to the gate, so nothing slowed down. We kept right going even with the bad weather, so.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Excellent. Thank you.
We did send along some photos. There's a shot of the tower that's up now and up and running. There's a microwave up there, your town stuff. It's winter, obviously, with the snow, but when that foliage fills in, it really, you can't really see much of it. But thank you all very, very much. What a
Thank
great
you.
project.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Yep. Have a great night, everybody.
You
You as well.
Refuse removal contract. under new business.
Kelly, is that you?
Wanted to-
I
yeah,
think,
yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah, cause I think
He's
you're,
gone.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we are up,
Yeah.
for a renewal. The last few years, we've been, we extended. We reached out to Rambone, who is our current vendor, and he's prepared to go out for an RFP. There's no discussion of an extension. I'm not quite sure how we would get that through anyway, because we haven't gone out for bid for quite a while. So we need to go out for bid and we need to do it soon. It's a large component of our budget, as you can imagine. So I was doing it today, right up until I ran in here. And basically, I mean, between those two things, it's $500,000 plus, really, it could be. So, if you have to, if that contract increases $75,000, or something like that, to that magnitude, you would need to know pretty quickly. So the sooner the better. I heard we were prepared because, Gordon called Situate and we were gonna use theirs. He's gonna send over an RFP. We haven't had one in a long time. I don't actually have one in my system, so we'd have to go research it. And he called Situate, so with the exception that I heard Chris say that we're going out to bid and I'd like to include something. We were prepared to try to get that out sometime next week and advertise the following. So that we can try to get some sort of response by the time we adopt our budget in our April.
Just the recycle
Does that
tax.
have to be a part of it? Because if you do it, the only thing they're gonna do is pick it up, right? But we're going to.
And we're gonna be,
You're gonna tag it,
we're gonna be
so-
collecting the
Well,
funds, right?
Rambone has already agreed to do it.
Right,
We go up for RFP,
We don't know
The-
at that point.
okay.
the other companies would have to know they're
Okay.
expected to do it.
So Joanna, do you have time next week to work on that with me so that we could add that component to the
In the
RFP?
beginning, Monday or Tuesday, yes, later
Okay.
in the week, we'll. dice it.
All right, so we'll try to. I'm subject to receiving the draft from Situate. So as soon as if they send it to Gordon tomorrow and he forwards it to me, I'll work on it over the weekend so we can try to get that out as soon as possible. It is very important. So Chris, is there some sort of language that you would like to include? Because,
I'm not the language guy.
all right, Joanna, do you have any idea of what they're referring to so that we can add it in an RFP? Because
I don't know how
I'm
you
not a
do
garbage
that
girl, I'm a
because
money girl.
we need to, we need to
I mean-
finalize what we need to do, right? But so you're saying that in whatever the RFP is,
I want the
they
guys to know they're expected to do it.
to pick up couches on the curb
That
if
is
they've been
correct.
paid for. If they've been paid for.
Do you know how much?
That
we're
is
gonna
correct.
charge?
No, that's the thing.
Wait,
There's-
Chris and I had a mostly complete list. We just have to finalize that because
but-
there's so many little other things that come up with it too.
They're not gonna charge the town, correct? They're gonna charge the homeowner,
The town is gonna charge the homeowner.
the town, okay, so the company will charge us and then we have to charge the homeowner.
Yes,
Are we gonna bill the homeowner first or second,
first,
before the item is
before
picked
it's
up?
picked up.
So when they, okay, so I guess we can put. I think if you can get me a list of the type of items that you want to include, then we can create a schedule and then in the RFP, we can talk to them about pricing. And so maybe if it's, furniture from X to Y, it'll be this much, or they may have an idea of what they want to charge and we could send them a schedule of items and then they could give us.
That's probably more helpful if we could get a list of like what they would
What
charge
they
us
would
for a
charge.
car.
Yeah,
for a
so
car.
give
It
me
should
the
be.
list of
So
items.
Yeah, we don't
And we can
wanna,
give them a schedule of stuff
Yeah.
and let them tell us this is normally.
He could
Right.
probably give us the list of items too, because he's the guy that's been picking them up.
Well, I don't know what,
Rambo.
I don't know, he's not, well.
You generally
RFP.
don't ask a person
No.
who's gonna
Going on
pay.
RFP.
no, because you want to assume that some of those things are already included in what they should be picking up. So
Right.
I don't know if you guys, or maybe Gordon knows, but a list of the things that you think should be charged extra for, and we'll say, okay, we want you to pick up this extra stuff. We're gonna bill the homeowner for it. Give us the cost that you're
Right.
gonna charge per item so that,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, because we don't want to lose.
Right. Isn't that
So-
part of the problem is that they've been picking it up and it's part of our tipping?
That's-
fees?
well,
It
that's-
is.
And
that's-
so
correct.
we have
We're-
been picking them up.
That's what we're trying to
Yes.
eliminate.
That's the
Because
whole.
then that would presume that anything that's not on that list is included in their regular contract. So then they
Right.
can't start like slipping things that we don't know what's
Yeah.
going on.
Because now, Kelly, aren't we approaching 100,000 in the overages? Is it getting close to
Oh,
that?
no, I just upped the budget to about $160,000.
For the
For
overages?
the tip, yeah.
Yeah,
For the
what-
tipping fee. The
I know it's-
overage
I know
portion
it's
of
big.
that Is,
I
it's
thought we
probably
were
close
like,
to 40, no, it's like 40,000.
oh, I thought we were,
Fees in
Total.
general are expensive.
yeah,
So
okay.
you're trying to keep all of our refuse down.
All right.
But they're already picking it up. So I think we just have to make a note of it in the RFP that we're going to implement a system that we're going to tag things that have been paid for.
Yeah.
And that is your approval to pick it up.
Yeah,
Right.
green
And
tag,
don't pick up
anything without a
large-
tag.
Large non-household items that don't have a tag kind of thing.
And somebody made a point that because we talked about doing e-permitting online and then somebody could print out a tag and then we were talking about all the black market tags everybody would have.
Yeah.
So-
I
Somebody
don't
be
know how-
selling them for $5. So yeah, we have to, we talked about that, how we would number them as and such also.
Do you have a general
Well-
idea of what you need to include?
For items, no. For language, close enough. Yeah,
Okay.
that should be easy enough. But give me the list of items. Or, you know, items F, and I can build or whatever, but
I
Do a generic- do a
I
generic
do have a
list.
list. I do have a list at home. It's just then, you know,
Well,
something else
it's-
comes up, like, what about a wooden bed frame? Or like,
Oh,
no,
that
I'm
would
not
be-
gonna say it.
but that would be,
A bureau.
that would be
That's
considered
furniture.
furniture.
It is.
Right.
Yeah,
That could be the generic.
But I mean,
Yes.
you could also have something like a small table compared to an armoire.
So.
You know what I mean?
To
So
make it
we have
simple,
to,
it'd probably be per piece tag,
per
no
piece,
matter what
Or
size,
per
you know. it's-
size?
I don't
per-
know.
per
yeah,
piece.
per piece is probably cheaper.
Probably per piece would be.
But
'cause
If
you-
you.
So here's
send
my
me the
theory.
Items, I can.
Okay.
I can figure out in terms of how we would parse it for pricing,
And like, yeah,
but I just need a list of the
Yeah.
items that you.
We are not getting anything now.
that's right.
They're picking it
Something's
up.
better than nothing.
It's going into
Yeah.
landfill.
Yeah.
So whatever we get is gonna
Yeah.
offset some of that cost.
Yeah.
But it would be good to,
So-
like you said, Joanna, that's a great idea to find out. Yeah.
Let's get the program
Yeah.
going. We can change the prices as we go.
Yeah,
Well,
that is we can always, but yeah, just give me a list of
Just
what
like
you
when
think
you
the
go to the
general items
restaurant.
are,
I-
and I can work with that.
I do have
Yeah.
a whole list at home.
Yep.
We could always add to it, but I might even have it on here. I'll look.
Yeah,
We
I
might
can
be
work
chatting.
with
You
that.
can do general.
Yeah,
General.
yeah, I might have it on here. I'm
Oh.
not sure. It might be at my other one.
Couple of customers in the audience.
Yes,
Yes, my name is Anna Rao.
Oh, can you, would you mind, please? Thank you.
I'm asking you, the last bid for, Bamboo was done 7 years ago.
The Eco Depot?
Yeah, so why don't we get another price now?
That's what I'm gonna try to do.
Okay.
I'm gonna reach out to try to get Eco
So
Depot.
get at least different vendors.
Yeah, Eco Depot's a little different, but yes,
Well-
it's not. Yeah,
We're multitasking.
But 7 years old, I mean,
Yes.
I looked on the list.
Yeah.
I believe you shared it, Lynn, the list. And I saw like, obviously Providence, they had a few different days. And I did not see like the smaller communities like the Foster, the Gloucester,
yeah.
the Burrillville. I'm not sure if it was on there, but I just remember looking at it and going, oh, like these smaller communities aren't on there. They don't
Definitely reach out
want.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
one more question.
Yes.
It's very disturbing that we have to get the ticket first in the town hall to give our garbage.
You're there all the time anyway.
But we throw it out, and we have the hour.
That would only be if you were getting rid of like
Yeah,
a
it's only large
couch.
items, large items.
How much furniture do you throw away, Anna?
I'm going to throw my whole house out when I.
Yes.
Just a suggestion, when it comes to furniture, maybe base the fee on the dimensional size of the furniture, so. You mentioned armoire versus a little table, so have people measure the width, length, and height of whatever it is, and the bigger it is, the more you pay.
I would agree with that, but I don't think it will ever happen that way.
Well,
So, I think it's.
improvement takes.
No, I
a
know,
truck.
I know.
You know-
I think the offset would be it's one charge for a very small piece of furniture and one charge for a large piece of furniture.
Well, I
The
think,
Offset, I think, in my opinion, it is.
I think,
Well, as long as piece of furniture.
But somebody's gonna come in and, yeah.
I
It's
think
always gonna, yeah.
doing it dimensionally like that, good idea, but you could have a desk
Yeah, I don't
that's made of particle board or something like that, that, I don't know, some big desk that, measures maybe the same as a sectional with a bed in it, which is a bigger, heavier, bulkier thing that costs a lot more to dispose of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think we want to try to make it as simple as possible for the residents.
least at the
also,
beginning.
And not have to,
We'll need some, Bob.
again, so
For
I think
sure.
something's better than nothing.
Yes.
Do we have any other discussion right now on that? We know we gotta go out and, okay. Everyone good on that? Okay, Kelly, do you have anything?
We don't
need a Okay.
motion for that.
No, that-
No.
no.
Okay.
yeah. Foster Gloucester Regional School budget.
Good evening, everyone.
Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you. I'm Renee Palazzo, Superintendent. I've been in front of you for the past 2 years. This is my 3rd year. This is also my 3rd business manager. So welcome, Ann Goudreau. So we are here to just share some information about our regional budget. Kelly, did they receive what we
They all
sent?
have it.
Okay. All right, super. So if you have questions, I can take questions, but I can give you just a general overview. The front page really says a lot of it. We're in year 3 of, we're going into year 3 of a 3-year contract for both our certified and non-certified. So those are contractual obligations. We did lose a little bit in state aid. And then some other costs just have, we're all feeling it, right, at home as well. Increase in oil, increase in electricity. We are asking our overall budget, the way we're presenting it for the Foster Gloucester region is a 2.89% increase, which equates based on enrollment, based on the numbers for Foster at a 2.07% increase from last year. So I don't know if you have any specific questions. We can certainly answer them, or I could just continue talking.
What was the, oh, I just got one, the pupil difference between last year? Do you have that? I don't,
I think Ann.
we're just wondering.
So at the close of last year, the June 24 number, Foster was 376, is that what I say? Yes, so June 24, 376. And then
Oh, it's in here. I think.
enrollment for this year, we're looking at 346 October for Foster.
So
It
we're
would
actually-
probably help if you heard what Gloucester's was too, because that's what impacts our student change.
Because of the,
All right,
she
so,
has
so
them.
Gloucester in June was 791, Gloucester in October was 742.
so both
Both
were
went down,
down.
we decreased enrollment.
Decreased.
overall. We did,
Wow.
yes.
Yeah, that's what I was.
But they decreased more students than we did.
Right.
So
Cool.
we had a
Close.
$32,000 adjustment.
Right, the adjustment-
Additional adjustment to
Right.
offset
Based on-
that.
yep.
that-
Yep, that's what I was
Yes.
looking at there. Okay, Kelly?
Are you on set?
I am.
So I did ask some questions and thank you for your response. Unfortunately, I didn't receive your response until I received it, but I didn't read it because I've been working on our budget. So I would have called you, so I'm sorry to put you on the spot like this. But so one of my questions was I wanted to know what miscellaneous revenue was. So if you look, they're budgeting for, I'm trying to find the page, 900 and so the appropriation is great and everything, but I'm concerned about, just like we are when we work through the budget, you'll see I'm concerned about years to come, not just today, right? So the appropriation is great, so the impact to us is less than Gloucester, as you will hear quite a bit, I'm sure, from Gloucester. And what really is the driver of that is the expenditures. So and our student population. Right now, we just happen to be on the good side of it. Heidi and Chris have both been council members when we've been on the wrong side of it.
Yeah.
So we do have a mechanism in place where we put aside certain money each year that we're on the positive side like this to offset future costs when we are on the negative, which when you see the local school department, you're going to see that they're going to have an upswing in population, which will eventually go to the region and then will negatively impact us. So I looked at the expenditures and the detailed budget. So one of the questions, so their overall expenditures are increasing 3.5%. The impact to us is the 2.whatever%. And they're not seeking all of this funding through appropriations. They increased their revenue in other ways too. So one of them is the use of fund balance. They generally do use fund balance of about $150,000, right? This year you used 400, but you have miscellaneous revenue of nearly $1 million. So I questioned what was in that because it's much lower. So the response for the miscellaneous revenue, $120,000 in interest, which that makes sense because I mean, everybody's earning interest right now. But again, that's gonna swing eventually down. So there's some concern in the several years from now about that, but that's fine. Medicaid, which that's a continual revenue, and it's really a revenue on its own. 110,000 categorical funding and 400 Medicaid and grant fund balance. So basically, if I'm reading this right, you're budgeting about $1 million worth of fund balance to balance your budget. Because it's the 400 that you've labeled as fund balance, and then it's like another 510 that's included in miscellaneous revenue that's also fund balance, just fund balance of a different type, but it's also fund balance. I mean, I used to be an auditor. I've been doing this a very long time. Using fund balance to balance your budget is great if you have tons of resources and you're trying not to overtax your taxpayers. But it's also best when using it to offset costs that are one-time expenses. That those costs are going to go away, and then you're all set, right? We've done it. We've done it in the past with capital. We've done it with certain things with it. We've done it. We've used fund balance to get us through a period of time that our obligation to foster to Providence Water was gone, and then at that point, that obligation left and we added the bond issue. So we've done it. My concern is, have you forecasted several years out that you know that this $1 million is not going to eventually put you behind the 8 ball where you cannot balance your budget any longer, and that you're going to have to do several successive years of large increases through the town? So that's one question. And it kind of correlates to the fact that our student population is going to increase, and I don't know what Gloucester is doing because I don't have projections, where the local school does actually kind of project out what his student population is going to be. So I personally would find it helpful, and I'm not asking you to do it this year, if you would kind of project. I don't even know, like from a grade standpoint, what grade our students are in versus Gloucester students. So it's kind of helpful. I actually called you about this last year because we do disclose this in our audit. How many students you have for Foster and Gloucester in each of your grades? And it would help us project student population shifts, because Gloucester has been on a really negative side a couple of years in a row. That's been quite costly to them. They've gotten whacked pretty hard. And we have too. $300,000 where we used $200,000 in 1 year just to offset the student population plus the increase that you went up. So my concern is, we're a small town and we have a small budget. Going forward, how is all of this going to impact us? Because $1 million of using fund balance is pretty significant.
So I can respond in general, or you can respond as well. Let me first go to the enrollment part. So
Okay.
this past year, we signed up for membership for NESDAQ, which gives projection enrollments.
Mhm.
So we have some of that all ready to project out for about 4 or 5 years. give or take, there's always some flexibility. Gloucester's enrollment right now has not shown a significant decrease. It's been pretty steady, about 20 or 30 students, but it hasn't had a significant decrease. That is something that we'll continue to look at as we project. The part that you're asking about the $900,000, yes, they are fund balances, but they are marked for certain expenses. For example, categorical funding, 110,000, that one is specific for CTE programs and CTE programs only. So when we create the budgets for CTE programs, we say this is what we'll need for equipment. And then that's not put in the local budget, that will be spent with categorical funding, if that makes some kind of, so if the categorical funding goes away, the equipment is purchased, they are for one-time purchases and one-time purchases only. They're not for ongoing expenses that we would have regularly built into the budget. With respect to some of the Medicaid grant funding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm the superintendent and she's the accountant. But for Medicaid funding, it's we know that we would have students who have high needs. And we know that we have Medicaid funding because we get that also as a reimbursement. So those go hand in hand. They typically don't exceed one or the other.
It was
Don't know-
Medicaid / grant fund balances. So you have a Medicaid component and you had which I totally understand that. You get Medicaid, I say for the local school, you get Medicaid every month or periodically as you have the expenses. It was called Medicaid / grant fund balances.
Yep, those were all put together, and this, I believe, is the other accounts. For the, yes. So we had accounts that from prior administration had balances in them. And what we did was we went through and used them. So we would have needed to budget for I don't know, a curriculum for world language. I was able to remove that from the budget to use this fund right now, but we know that in 3 to 5 years, we'll be budgeting for that again.
Well, you're budgeting for that now because you're budgeting the revenue and that's exactly my point. So you're using that revenue in the general fund, say $100,000, and you're offsetting that program. So when that revenue is gone, because that revenue was in your fund balances from some of your grants, I looked it up in your audit. So it is, I see that you're using some of those fund balances and the programs that you, in the funds that you've had that you no longer can have. You have a literacy set aside, for example. That program's been gone for years and years and years, right? So I'm assuming you're using those fund balances. My question is, when that money's gone, because that's going to be gone now. So say you have $400,000 for that. Are those $400,000 worth of expenses that you're planning on going away with it? Because if not, you're not gonna have that revenue next year to budget, and the expense in the program is ongoing. And whether it's next year or maybe the next year, couple years, if you're gonna start building that into the budget, you won't have the funding for it. You'll have to come back to the communities. And without phasing that in over time, my concern is that you're gonna hit us in a year that we won't be able to. The student population shift might be in the negative and all of this, because $1 million of fund balance, regardless of the different sources, is somewhat concerning. That's my.
So I think my overall response is we're very, very aware and cognizant of that. That is never the goal or the intent. The original, if we needed to cut in other places to not use this, we could.
Okay.
However, the problem with us creating the budget now and having it approved in March is we still don't know our tuition for CTE, which could vary because of substantially similar programs. That's a big funding source for the region. We still don't know state aid, and as you've known, it's proposed that we would be 200,000 reduced in state aid. If all of that comes higher, then this would go back into the fund balance.
You didn't.
So, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you didn't budget state aid. That was I didn't tie your state aid out to the governor's budget.
Say that again?
Your state aid that's budgeted didn't tie out to the governor's budget. So I'm assuming that it's less than that, what you budgeted.
We budgeted 100,000 less than what he proposed.
Yes.
And I believe there's a new one that just came out. It should have been released today.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, because I
Yes.
looked it up.
Mhm.
I want to say today or yesterday, yeah.
So there was a
Okay.
new release this
Okay,
It was just
good.
released this
Okay.
afternoon. Yes.
Okay, so you have a plan.
We have I mean, I can say going, it's completing year 3, we have a plan. I inherited, what I inherited. And so I can tell you, we literally go line by line by line. I know I don't live in Foster, but we both live in Gloucester. We are taxpayers. We are very vested in the programs for our students. We have some parents here as well. But never are we intending to create a structural deficit, and we are very aware that that is not the process we would follow. So if we gave a budget in, May or June, it might have different numbers. I have to be honest there. This is what we need to create right now and propose to all of you, because there are some unknowns.
Right, in this year's budget, we did have fund balance number as part of our revenue, which we're most likely not going to touch because other revenues came in higher. It's just that we don't know where some of these numbers are gonna land. Yeah, for revenue.
So I have one more question. So I was looking at your audit because I was trying to figure out where you get like all this fund balance. That's a lot of fund balance to use, trying to figure out how much you had. So when I was looking through it, I also noticed that you have a pretty significant debt falling off in the next couple of years. And then you have another, I think your debt is completely paid off in the next, say, 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. So speaking for Foster, so forgive me because I am speaking for Foster. I've discussed this with Dr. Barnes numerous times. What is your plan for the debt payments as they go off? Because I understand the whole concept of maintenance of effort, but debt is separate in my mind, and debt is always separate in municipalities from maintenance of effort. I just want to fully understand what your intention is in the next couple of years when we start, in 5 years, basically, all of that debt is going to go away. And it is my understanding that that's a separate component, that you wouldn't then say, okay, we're only increasing the budget or we're level funding your appropriation because you're using that debt to offset your operations. Because we have, as you've heard, I don't know, or if you've driven down a dirt road today, like significant road problems, and we just got the bond for the police station. So between those two things, we have debt that we need to issue of our own, most likely, or major projects that we have to issue of our own. And I wanted to know if you were going to try, and I don't necessarily expect an answer tonight of what that plan is, or if you've even discussed it, but what you're going to do, like, is your intention to issue a new bond? Is your intention, where is your capital at that you're, do you have a plan for that debt payment that's going away?
So,
because I do. It involves Foster mostly, and Foster's like, because in a general situation, this is the downside, like there are some downsides of regional schools, and in some ways this could be it, because if you were a local school and you issued school debt for a school building and that debt was paid off, then you would have another bond issue possibly, or another project that the town is supporting that you would get behind. But within a region, if they consider that, and I'm not saying that there's a legal component here one way or another, because I do believe there is, and I believe we would fight for one end and I believe they might fight for the other, to be clear. But there's the maintenance of effort component, and my concern is whether or not you consider that part of your maintenance of effort, where I don't, and I'm not entirely sure of the legality of that. And I could look into it with Joanna and whoever, but I would just like to kind of get an idea of what the plan is for this future, so I can help them plan for their future for larger capital projects. Because honestly, I must have heard 50 times in the last 2 days, right?
Oh, God, yes.
Screaming people about how we have got to do something major with our roads,
only
pavement
50?
and stuff. No, on my side, my whatever, I'm finance, called the DPW, right? So I'm trying to help them project our long-term, and we have a huge capital project problem here, because we also have fire trucks to the tune of $1 million, and all of these things they want me to take debt out for, when we're a small town. We already just issued debt for a police station.
Right.
So I know that I just blindsided you with that, and I'm not expecting some.
So I don't have an answer to that right
Right.
now. I can say that we are committed to being fiscally responsible, and I'm not just giving you a statement. We are committed to being fiscally responsible. We are also committed to providing our students with opportunities that they might not get otherwise. We have tremendous educational programs, and that's where the focus of this budget is. If you have ideas, we can continue, talking, once we get past this part. I'm open to conversations, Kelly, 100%. I know we've worked together, a
Yes,
little
we
bit
have.
in Foster last year as well. But Anne stands with me on that, so I don't have an answer for you
Yeah,
right
no,
now, but I say that, what I can say to you, that as we move forward, we will definitely we are up for, this is our final year, I think, of our, 2 more years, then we start our next 5-year capital projects plan. But if you know as well as I do that we start that a year and a half before. So we're going to start looking at what that looks
Right.
like. Yeah.
So I'm specifically speaking to the debt.
Debt, yep.
So, if you could kind of go back, give this some thought, because I would like to somewhat be on the same page.
Sure.
Now that the debt obligations for the school buildings themselves are starting to phase out.
Sure. Yeah,
So that
and
we
know
can
it-
plan long-term as well. So
Agreed.
I know I'm blindsiding you. I don't expect a response, but
But I
I
appreciate
just-
the conversation. I really do. And we both took notes, and we'll certainly
thank you.
come back.
That's it, Steve, for me.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did. What was the total amount of increase to Foster that you had? Was it wasn't, it was 2.07.
It's different for them, I'm gonna just tell you right now.
Yeah.
So you're gonna write it down, and it's different for you when you go, no, when you go to look at your budget, it's gonna be different. Because we budgeted student population shift money to add to our fund last year.
Yeah.
So what they're saying, their difference is gonna look different for you,
Yeah.
but their difference, go ahead. Just I'm telling you. don't be surprised.
2.07%,
That's what I thought you said.
which is 118,436.
Right. So to us, because I just did it today, literally right before I came, because we budgeted, we didn't budget what they asked for last year. We budgeted more because we were on the positive end of another
Yes.
really bad switch for situation for Gloucester.
Yep.
So we put some of that money, not nearly as much as we should have, into our student population fund because, but maybe like 20% of what we should have. So this year, not only do you have to put that, but you also have to put more because we're about to, I believe, if our
We're gonna.
planning is correct, we may be on the wrong end of it in the next year or two. And this is generally the cycle. We have 2 or 3 good years, and then we have 2 or 3 bad years where almost everything we saved in the good years, and it's worked for us. It's kept us. Otherwise, there would have been years that our entire 4% cap would have gone to the regional
Yeah,
school
yeah.
alone.
Yep.
So you can't have that. So that's how we fund it. And so your change is gonna look different, but their change, that doesn't impact what they've done. I mean, it is what it is.
Any other questions?
Sorry.
Thank
Renee.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Municipal Fellow Grant Agreement. This is a new agreement. It's an amendment. All right, so the only thing that changed here, is it went from 21 months to 19 months because we're already 2 months into the program. And they're reallocating those funds to another town. So it's just showing that it's going from 147,000 total to 133,000 total. That's the only 2 changes on here. So we're gonna have that fellow for 19 months.
They refer to it as their own Doge because they reallocated
Oh.
funds that we couldn't use, right? Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, we don't need a motion or anything. We don't.
Well,
need a
he's
motion for
gonna
that.
sign,
We
he's
should probably-
agreeing to a lesser
Yeah.
amount, but it's not impacting us
Yeah,
at
that-
all
that doesn't-
because even though the grant was say 147,000 or whatever it was,
Okay,
there's a limit per month.
Yeah.
So you can't use it anyway.
so how specific does this motion have to be? We have it in writing, right?
Yeah, everything, we have the, right, yep.
So I make
Yeah,
a motion to authorize Council President Steve Plouffe to sign the First Amendment to the Municipal Fellows Program Grant.
And we have a motion, we have a second. Second, any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right,
Hey,
absolutely.
before we get into this, I'm just gonna go get some water and my brother was calling in.
Right.
Right, so. Steve, we need to tangle back.
Yeah, I know, it's. Oh, here it is.
Really? Yeah,
Second
you're
page.
just only signing.
Yep. Kathy, can you pass that back down, please? All right. Moving on to first public hearing. What was continued from 12/12. I do have some changes right now. Okay, what there are some of these that we're gonna pull out for tonight. That would be item 1. Section 18-33 purposes. Item 2. Section 18-34 definitions. Item 3, section 18-35 applicability. Chapter 38. Number 1, section 38-2 definitions. Item 2, section 38-131 division of town into enumeration. Section 38-191 table of uses. Section. It's a different. Oh, same one. Section 38-291 regulations pertaining to communication towers and antennas. Section 38-292 solar installations. Section 38-327 specific and objective criteria for categories of special use permits. Section 38-356 residential compounds. Section 38-357 development standards for general business development. Section 38-358 development standards for highway commercial 2 development. Section 38-359 land development projects. Section 38-394 formal development plan review. Section 38-395 administrative development plan review. And I believe that's it. That's all the ones we are pulling out for tonight. Those should be with planning.
And I'm sorry, did you say chapter 18 is pulled too?
3 of them. 18-33, 18-34, and 18-35.
They should all be treated together. And they're not with planning. Oh, I'm sorry. Chapter 18 should, they can't really be separated, I don't think, and they are not with planning. They were, they're all of chapter 18 goes together,
Mhm.
and chapter 18 was heard twice by the previous council and never got sent back to planning. We can postpone it, but
If
it-
it's
You want-
not, I had that it was with planning, but if it's not,
Okay.
and
This
there's
says
no
discussion
changes.
only on them, on the.
Yeah, it is.
Vote on it anyway.
Right,
Right, right.
so then that's fine.
One sleep. Okay, so okay, so we're gonna leave in 18-33, 18-34, and 18-35. Keep that group in there. These are gonna be. I know some were heard already. This is gonna be a first hearing. Okay. Okay, we can start with chapter 18.
all right, and I'm Susan Joyce. I am a planning board member. So chapter 18 is all the dark sky ordinance. The dark sky ordinance is a goal of the Natural Resources Conservation and Recreation chapter of Foster's Comprehensive Plan. The comprehensive plan update was approved in 2023 by both the town council, including Heidi and Chris, and by the state
This is the legal document which identifies our town's goals and policies and guides our long-term development. It's updated every 10 years. On page 35 of the comprehensive plan, it states that the planning board is working to draft a dark sky ordinance proposal to the town council by summer 2024, and that happened. On page 23, it says Foster's quality environment is largely free of light pollution. Foster has one of the best dark sky environments in the northeastern United States. In the latest Foster Town survey conducted a couple years ago, residents overwhelmingly listed natural darkness as one of the town characteristics important to them, along with clean water, clean air, woodlands, and wildlife habitat. Many Rhode Island towns already have a dark sky or outdoor lighting ordinance, including Gloucester and Smithfield. We looked at other Rhode Island ordinances to create this one for Foster, and we also tapped into the expertise of Bob Horton, who is manager of astronomy labs and public outreach at Brown University. Also happens to be here today in case anyone has any specific dark sky questions for him. And also a colleague of his, Francine Jackson, who helped draft the Charlestown ordinance and was one of the 5 state advocates responsible for getting Rhode Island recognized as an official dark sky chapter. The Foster Dark Sky Lighting Ordinance provides clear guidelines for commercial development and provides protections for residents. Specifically, and I'm just gonna top line because you all have the ordinances. Section 1833 states the purpose of the dark sky ordinance, which is to prevent light from becoming a nuisance to other properties, to preserve rural character, and promote energy efficient lighting. This ordinance promotes the rural character of Foster. Municipal uses are exempt from this section. Section 1834 provides all the definitions for the dark sky ordinance. Section 1835 states that all outdoor lighting shall meet the requirements of this ordinance. This includes, but is not limited to, residential, commercial, industrial, and public lighting. The town may require or restrict lighting when public health, safety, and welfare are concerns. Lighting used under emergency circumstances or for town events are exempt. Section 1836 lists the criteria for illumination levels, fixture design, lighting control, which is namely that lights should be shielded and directed down and installed so they do not project onto neighboring properties or public rights of way. Installation and maintenance. Section 1837 covers the administration of the ordinance, namely a lighting plan for outdoor lighting must be provided with a subdivision, land development plan review, zoning relief application, or building or electrical permit application. Section 1838 covers enforcement by the building official. And finally, section 1839 covers non-conforming lighting. Existing lighting is protected by this section. So that's the top line. You all have the full ordinances. I don't know if you have any questions.
I just have one. So, I think we already have not a dark sky, but we do have the planning and zoning that they go through to, on a plan review on lighting. Is that correct?
There is, in developments, design standards, there is usually something that says that when they come before, the lighting should be dark sky compliant.
Right. So it's already, we already have that in there, correct?
In
Currently,
or
correct.
commercial, yes.
Okay. All right.
So you said should be, not shall be. Because I think we talked about this before when this came up, and I think there was a question about enforcement, and I thought it was stated that it was more of a recommendation when this came up before,
Yeah.
and we had talked about it, that it was a recommendation, and I didn't know how enforceable it was.
So there is some language, like I'm looking at applicability, and it says all outdoor lighting shall meet the requirements of this ordinance. That includes, but it's not limited to. So that is a shall.
Okay.
It's possible that when I said should, I just spoke out of turn right now.
Right.
Under criteria, it uses the word shall. And it's Joanna.
Yeah, I mean, it's drafted so that it would be a zoning it would be a violation of the nuisance ordinance if you did not comply. I mean, there is a grandfather provision. But it's not a,
So it's only on new construction.
not new construction, it's not, well, not new construction in the sense of you're building a new house. It new that you put up a new light. Or you modified, so if your spotlight was there, but then you had to replace the spot, not the bulb, but maybe the fixture itself, then it would apply. So it's any new lighting. Do you know what I mean?
I get what.
And you can be,
I was thinking.
Yeah.
As you said.
and you can be fined if you put the wrong kind of light bulb.
It's not light bulb, so if you have an existing, I don't know, spotlight, and then
Fixture, the complete fixture.
and you had to put a new one in because, I don't know, it broke or you wanted something
Yeah.
updated.
Yeah.
If it was non-conforming now, you can't put in a new one that
So
is
if it's
non,
not- So if it's not shielded, or it's not aimed down to the ground.
right,
Then it's non-conforming.
yes, and so the old one can stay, but if you have to replace it, the new one has to conform.
And if I could just read the, under enforcement, the nuisance glare and inadequate illumination levels. Says when the town judges an installation produces unacceptable levels of nuisance glare, skyward light, excessive or insufficient illumination levels, or otherwise varies from this ordinance, the town may notify the persons responsible for the lighting and require appropriate remedial action. If appropriate corrective action has not been taken within 30 days of notification, and the town determines the infraction so warrants, the town may initiate appropriate legal action. So it nowhere says that they're gonna go. The council or the building official is gonna go hand out fines for everything. This is a
But-
way for if there is a problem that is not resolved in any other way, ideally communication with whoever the person with the light pollution or the light trespass is, then there is some recourse to get assistance, but it's worded, the enforcement's worded in a way that says there are
Well,
steps that are taken.
I'm gonna say our current building inspector would fine him.
I think,
He'd do his written notices.
yeah, this does not contain, so there is a provision about violation of ordinances that is just general, that would allow the building official to do a fine. So if you said, hey, I don't want anybody to be fined something, it would have to be built into the statute that you could not be fined to do this.
Then what good is the ordinance?
Well, yeah,
Uh,
so that's, or, it would have to, you could limit the fine here. The legal action would just be to make them, to take down the item. But if you wanted to adjust the fine or have it, they have to have 3 infractions before you institute a fine or something like that, you would have to make it specific in this enforcement section. Otherwise, our general,
So if you had a neighbor dispute, it could just become a big extension of a neighbor's dispute. I don't like the guy across the street from me. And he could just keep complaining, and then that guy gets fined
if he
and
was,
there's legal action.
if he was violating this.
Right. Without the grandfather clause.
Right. So if you put up a new light that shone into your bedroom window,
Mhm.
but if it's been there forever, well, that's kind of too bad for you.
Right.
Okay.
And by the same token, the person the neighbor puts up a new light that's glaring in their window, that person's rights, they now have some recourse to address those rights. So there's that flip side.
The only concern I have is in 1835B needs to be removed.
Flexibility.
Yeah, because it kind of says that the town can really just impose any. Can come in and impose anything at any time.
Yep.
I don't think that was the intent of it. But that sentence doesn't make this ordinance any less effective, but it's not legally appropriate, so.
Any other discussion on the nuisance? Yes, Lynn? Yep.
I don't do this.
Lynn Ryder Burgess Road. I thought, listening to all of what has gone on before, that what was in place is grandfathered in, okay? And at that time, it made it sound like if you lived there, but you decided you're gonna change your outside fixtures. Now, first of all, I don't know how many people go to a building inspector to get a permit to exchange.
Right,
you know,
exactly, yeah, yeah.
Right,
No,
you
it
don't
isn't.
have to
Yeah.
get
No,
one to
no.
replace
So-
what you already have.
You know, what was before, it becomes very messy.
Mhm.
But I thought it was more for anyone whose property was already there. That it was an encouragement. These are alternatives that you might want to consider. As you go to, I don't know, put an addition on your house or whatever. New build, yeah, I can see you'd want to require it because that's the time to do it. But other than that, I mean, people are just not aware of a lot of the stuff that's out there. And many of them, I know I'm waiting for a spotlight to die so that I can get my husband to put in one that will just go down. It's not cooperating very quickly. But I didn't realize that there were all of these alternatives. So I think education has to be a part of it. But I don't know how you would ever enforce somebody changing a spotlight on their property that they already had.
That was kind of my
agree.
point, Lynn, and I think that it was you that mentioned it last time.
Yeah.
The regarding education, which I think is important too, I think that's this has been on the Conservation Commission's radar as well for quite some time.
Okay, any discussion on those? Okay.
So 2434.
Yeah, 2434.
Okay, so this ordinance is simply taking the existing ordinance that talks about the planning board and matching the language to what the town charter says. Exactly, and do you want me to read it?
Does everybody have the updated version? But yeah, maybe you can read it.
Okay. It says, the version that the planning board approved to send to you says membership, terms of office and vacancies. The planning board shall consist of 7 members appointed by the town council from the qualified electors of the town, each for a term of 5 years. 1 or 2 members shall be appointed each year. I'm sorry, there are a lot of crossouts here. I'm doing it each year at the December meeting of the town council. In December 2002, the town council will appoint 3 members, 2 for 5 years and 1 member for 4 years. No member shall be an elected official of the town, nor shall any member be an employee of the town. Any vacancy which may occur in the membership of the board shall be filled by the town council for the remainder of the unexpired term. And that's it. So that's exactly what the town charter says.
Yeah, I don't have any questions on that. It's just mirroring
And
what we already
I'm
have.
good with that one.
It's-
Yeah.
It's there already.
Right. Good on that one.
All right, so then the next one with you is 38,192.
192.
And I'm gonna be looking to because I have Grant's notes that things Michaela gave me. So I'll look at them too. This one, and in a lot of these ordinances, even though the ordinances are long, what we're looking at are the changes, in the draft, you have the changes that are in red and only in red. That's what was in most cases updated due to Rhode Island general law, that these were all things that we've had to do in the last year based on Rhode Island general law. So they're, a lot of cases, they're quite minimal. In this one, we are updating the on-site water treatments. So it's number 8, utility dimensional regulations. Wells shall be set back at a minimum 50 feet from side and rear lot lines, 35 feet from the front lot lines, and all OWTSs shall adhere to the statewide buffer zone designations established under 250 RICR 150 15 and that's it. So minor language change.
Yeah, I did see that in the buffer zone designations. I looked at that today. So it does match. Have any questions on that one? All right, 38-193.
Okay, so the only change here is on page 3 of this ordinance, and it simply changes reference to section 38-325 to the actual Rhode Island general laws that apply to this. Should I just keep going or? do you need to-
Well, I just want, yeah, we'll go one by one. Any questions on that one? Okay. All right, 38-226.
Okay, so this one, there's a little bit more to it. I'm gonna read you Grant's note because Grant's explanation. The amendment is required by amendments to Rhode Island General Law 45-24-38. The reduced setback process was changed from a calculation applying the building's setback, lot frontage, and lot width requirements from another zoning district in the municipality in which the subject lot would be conforming as to lot area. Since Foster has the same minimum lot size in all zoning districts, we still use the calculation to determine reduced setbacks. Maximum building coverage changed from being increased by the proportion of the area of the substandard lot to the minimum lot size to being increased by the inverse proportion. That's may not be clearer than.
Which means,
Clear as mud.
I understand what he's saying though.
Yeah. No, it does.
And in this ordinance that you have, there's a lot of red because
Yeah,
there are a lot of
there
parts
is.
that he updated for the different, clarifying the different setbacks.
yeah.
Just following the Rhode Island general law there.
Mhm.
That's all it is.
It doesn't change the
Yeah,
lot
it doesn't
size.
change, no. Okay, 38-227.
Okay, this one is a short ordinance. Again, I'll just read Grant's explanation. This subsection is an example of enabling legislation, meaning the town is allowed to regulate something, substandard lots, within a set of parameters rather than a hard rule. The parameters in this case are the type of substandard lots that are eligible for a lawful merger. Only abutting substandard lots in the same ownership, neither of which have structures, and abutting substandard lots in the same ownership, where one of the lots does not have structures or eligible to be merged. Foster does not make that distinction. So by the current ordinance, substandard lots in the same ownership that both have structures on them have been illegally merged.
Mhm.
That-
Joanna?
I wouldn't say that they were illegally merged, but it was probably a hardship for the property owners, but to merge. So that is 2 lots, like a regular conforming lot and then a substandard lot of record. I was
That
trying to
was-
pull it up. but
Yeah.
That was just his explanation.
Statute, under our current ordinance, anytime either if there are 2 substandard lots or one is substandard and one is regular. Anytime the ownership becomes the same, so let's say like maybe your mom lived next door and then she passed away, she left it to you, now this goes in your name alone, boom, that lot it was an automatic merger.
So it
then
becomes one.
it becomes one, and then you
7-acre
have
lot.
2 houses, and then it's a problem.
Yes.
So the enabling legislation says you can regulate that as you want. And so I think what Grant has tried to do here is say that there would not be an automatic merger unless both lots were unimproved. So unless it was just raw land.
Right.
So you would not
Yeah.
run into that problem.
Okay. Probably wouldn't be a problem with the ADU now.
The other thing though is you want, such merger shall continue for continuous unimproved. So you could end up with a situation where somebody owns a regular lot with a house, but then the substandard lot next door is theirs as well, and they don't have a house on it, but even though they're contiguous and they have the same owner, there wouldn't be required merger, meaning that that person could still build a house or something on the substandard lot.
Right.
So if that is the intent, then you would keep that. If you wanted to say, no, listen, we want to get rid of substandard lots, let's not let that happen. You could say that, you wouldn't do it if both lots had improvements, but if only one lot had an improvement and the other lot didn't, then you could force the merger. Do you know what I mean? That would do away with an abundance of substandard lots. However, people normally don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't think I like that. Cause some substandard lots, I have, just under 300 feet of frontage on my lot that I live on. So that would be substandard, right?
Substandard is typically the size.
Right, well, it didn't have the right frontage.
That
Total size.
total size. I'm
Oh,
talking
I
about
thought-
square footage would be
total size,
substandard.
So,
For the frontage, you would need like a variant. This is for,
okay,
like, if you don't have the 4.59 acres.
right. Okay.
But a lot of times people understood that, so they would never allow, you just wouldn't put it in the same title.
Right.
Right, 38-227? Yeah.
That,
No, that was.
that was that.
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
just did
I'm
that,
sorry, I
yeah.
skipped that one. 38-228.
No, that one was moved,
Oh, that one was,
wasn't it?
No,
Oh,
not
no,
22,
that's
no.
my wrong marking.
Yes.
Never mind.
Okay.
38-228. Again, I'm sorry, I'm just going to read grants on these because I think it was a long time ago the planning board talked about them.
Yeah.
His explanation is currently this section only provides non-conforming rights for uses in existence prior to adoption of the zoning ordinance, July 7th, 1967. The section omits provision of non-conforming rights for uses established prior to amendment of a zoning ordinance. Example, a gas station existed since 1970. Hypothetically, gas stations didn't require a special use permit until 1987. Gas station is not required to obtain a special use permit. The issue is that under the current ordinance, the gas station actually does need a special use permit in this hypothetical scenario. Purpose of the amendment is to clean it up and tighten the ordinance so people aren't in violations that nobody realizes. It's a liability reduction. That's his explanation. Also, he has notes on here, this one he called housekeeping. So this is not one of the ones that we were required to change.
Joanna,
Sounds like-
you looked a little perplexed on that
Sounds
one.
like we're actually taking away the grandfather
No, I mean,
that are already in place.
no, I don't necessarily think that this is absolutely necessary, but I think what Grant is trying to do is say it's maybe overly technical in my opinion, but he's trying to make sure that people are grandfathered. So if something, if something was an allowed use in 1985 and then in 1996 it became a prohibited use, but you've been doing it since 1970, you should also have that non-conforming protection. I think that you don't need this, but this is basically just clarifying it. So it doesn't hurt.
Added protection. Alright. 38-231.
This one, it is if you look at the actual ordinance, it's only added a few words in it. It's explaining that a structure, for example, illegally built in a setback can't achieve legal non-conforming rights. This is explained in other sections of Article 5, Chapter 38, and this reiterates the concept. So the words he added in, or that were added in, are lawfully, a building, structure, or parcel of land lawfully existing at the time of the adoption or amendment of this chapter and not in conformity. That's the new language, and then it goes on for what, the existing language.
Yeah.
Ken, 38-236.
So this is, also an incredibly short ordinance. The change, is being amended to meet, requirements set forth in Rhode Island general law. It's, currently says a non-conforming use. It used to say may, it's being changed to shall be permitted to be changed to a conforming use or may be changed to a different non-conforming use by a special use permit. And then the last sentence is struck from that. I have a further explanation from Grant if you would like me to read it.
Yes, please.
He says per Rhode Island General Law 45-2039A, towns shall quote, make provision for any use, activity, structure, building, or sign of improvement lawfully existing at the time of the adoption or amendment of the zoning ordinance, but which is non-conforming by use or non-conforming by dimension. The zoning ordinance may regulate development which is non-conforming by dimension differently than that which is non-conforming by use. What does that mean? Foster has always allowed non-conforming uses to change to other non-conforming uses by special use permit. The last sentence in this section does not make sense. A non-conforming use changing to a non-conforming use equals a non-conforming use. There's no such thing. So that's why he struck that. The opinion of the planner is that changing a non-conforming use to a different non-conforming use should be prohibited. The planning board felt that that would be perceived as too much change, even though it would simply be responsible. Therefore, the amendment is simply to remove an impossible requirement from the code while maintaining status quo.
Does that mean that this isn't necessary? I'm looking at you and thinking,
So, well, the language that was stricken or is suggested to be stricken says, if so changed, as in if the non-conforming use is changed, the alteration shall more closely adhere to the intent and purpose of this chapter. So when somebody applied for a special use permit to change a non-conforming use to another non-conforming use, typically the board who was approving it would say, okay, well, are you expanding? It tried to limit.
Make it less.
Yes, it tried to limit it to say like, we would like you to be as close to conformity as possible. So that if you are non-conforming, your current non-conforming use was really kind of out there. The next one really shouldn't be out there. It should be a little bit closer. And for example, we had somebody who had a mobile home. And he needed to get a new one, but the one that he had, I don't know, was probably from the 70s, and they did not make ones that were of the same size. Like he could not find one that had the same dimensions. So he had to come before us and say, hey, I need a special use permit so I can get a new one. And the only new one I can get is this. And so but you were supposed to stay within the same footprint. If he did that, it would not have really been appropriate for the lot. So we moved it and we made some considerations. So yes, it was non-conforming, but the way that it was cited made it more conforming with the general characteristics. And it's a lot of words, but I don't know that sentence, removing it is, I mean, I don't know. I think that's up to the board. It's up to the council. Do you want, if you're gonna continue to allow non-conforming uses, do you want to say, listen, your next non-conforming use needs to come a little closer to conformity, like as you keep going, or are you fine with people, you know, and again, it is subject to a special use permit, meaning that the planning board or the zoning board, depending on what the application is, would have to approve it, and there would be, you know, special conditions and all that stuff.
Right.
So. Does that make sense, Jude?
Yeah. So it's not just us looking at it.
Yeah.
Wait.
All right.
It's a lot for like a 1 or 2 line ordinance.
So in an effort to keep these controlled, and in order. I'd like to entertain a motion to continue the balance of these to the not the next meeting, the 27th,
March 27th.
March 27th meeting, which will give
All right.
did I do that right?
Can I ask you a question? Do
Yeah.
you want to hear the first, the ones that we went over? Did you want to have those placed on for a second hearing so that action can be taken on them? Or do you want to hold those?
I want to hold them.
Okay,
So the ones we already took off, I want to hold those.
but what about the ones we just talked about?
No, I want those are gonna be next meeting.
Okay, so those will be posted as second hearing, so we can
correct,
take action on them.
correct, correct.
The only thing that I would suggest is maybe
Yeah.
let's just do the next one because it's still non-conforming use so that we can.
Oh, it's connected?
It-
Okay, all right.
Somewhat,
38-237?
yes.
Okay,
And also, there are two ADU ordinances
in,
that come a little bit later. And I know that ADU ordinances are important. I just wanted to mention that.
Oh, multiple structures on one lot. Is it section 38, 301? Oh, I don't know.
I didn't see a
No.
Yeah, it's section 38-282 development standards for accessory family dwelling units. That's probably the most important. And then there's the second one that comes towards the end. It's section 38-390 site plan for accessory dwelling units. So those two relate to accessory dwelling units, which I know has come up quite a bit for our building official.
Yes, we should do those two.
Okay, so let me,
Those- yeah.
you want me to cover 38-237 first to
Yes,
finish that?
please. Yes, please.
Okay, so this one, again, I'm going to read Grant's explanation. The current ordinance could be argued to mean only the uses listed in section 38-193 are prohibited, restricted from enlarging within the dimensional requirements listed in this section, and that the section provides a provision for expansion of a special use permit without a further special use permit. And then further explanation, the amendment clarifies that an increase in intensity of a business village, he mentions a particular, can I say that?
No.
Yep.
Thank you.
Is permitted within the dimensional requirements, including parking. Parking is a dimensional requirement. Currently, only enlargement of a business is regulated. The amendment also explains that uses that were in existence prior to amendment of zoning ordinance have non-conforming rights, which is currently omitted by the section. The amendment also clarifies that non-conforming uses that are prohibited uses are excluded from the benefit of the provisions of this section.
Basically, what this says is that if you're, so let's say that you had, I don't know, a very small convenience store and it had 3 parking spots. But at the time that you established your convenience store, you could have had a convenience store double the size and 10 parking spots. Right now, it's not, and now convenience stores are outlawed. It would allow you to increase your use of the convenience store and your parking to what the maximum would have been when you actually made it. That's what it would allow you to do.
Okay.
Even though it's outlawed? Yes, because it would, because it's a non-conforming use, it'd allow you to increase the intensity, but only to the maximum that you could have done when it was a conforming use. So
If the person didn't want to do that,
they don't have to.
okay, they could not be sued, they would want a bigger store, right? See, what I'm getting to is that I've been living in this town for a very long time. And I had property and 2 roads. And the people next door, they want to put whatever, another house there, and they would want to take some frontage away from my house. And I said, no, because my frontage is 325 feet or more, okay? Which was at that time. What is the frontage now? I would like to know. Because they want, I think 5 yards or whatever, but I don't want to do that because in case I want to put a house in that spot, so I will need that frontage.
Right, you don't, that you would not have to. This wouldn't require you to do anything.
Yeah, but I don't want but 55 yards to them, so they can put it on that road. You see what I'm saying? It's quite complicated because
Yeah, you wouldn't do it. That's,
I wouldn't do it.
yeah, you just wouldn't do it.
Right.
Right, right, that's it.
You, and you
That's
can
it.
be
You
forced.
have control of that.
But the people next door, they might do it anyhow, because if this frontage is smaller now, it's not 325 feet, is that correct? Is it now 300 feet? Or 250?
I think it's
It's
300 feet.
300 feet, it's
300
300 feet. Yeah, it's 300 feet, yeah.
Only for 325, now it's 300, so am I grandfathered in?
No.
No, you can,
No.
because it's less now, so you would take advantage of the 300.
No, I wanted 325 because why should I give my 5 yard away?
No, just wouldn't. You just wouldn't.
You don't
Yeah.
have to give it away.
You just
no.
can't put a convenience store there.
Oh, that's to be a problem, I can see that, so I keep quiet, I put everything there, it was under that section, correct? Hold on. There-
Yes.
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 Yes,
It's where put it was under this section,
yes.
okay.
We can go on to the ADU.
Okay,
Should all right.
Let's just move
Or,
on.
or should I make a motion
No,
to
'cause those-
continue
No.
all
Those
except-
ADUs are gonna go for a second hearing as well.
Yeah, I think we.
So
we
let's
can
do
still
those
discuss
first
those.
and then,
No, I realize that. I was just gonna, okay,
We'll do
pull, yeah,
We're
pull
just
those
gonna-
first and we'll make that motion after. I know what you mean.
okay.
38-282.
So this is the development standards for accessory family dwelling units. And again, I'm reading from Grant. This is a perfect example of enabling legislation. Rhode Island General Law 45-24-73B1 allows municipalities to set maximum sizes for ADUs within given parameters. The planning board recommended that the most restrictive ADU ordinance legally permissible. If the town does not set a maximum ADU size and an adequate septic system is in place for the new construction, developer is only restricted by the maximum building coverage of the zoning district in which the lot is located. There is, of course, a lot more in this ordinance than that, and you all had that ordinance before you.
Actually like that one.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Do we have any questions on that one?
Yeah, can I get a copy of that ordinance, or do I have to be town hall to get it?
We can get you a copy.
Okay.
Yeah, we can get.
Is on the website too, right, Michaela?
Well, I am going to get.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll get you a copy.
Okay, thank you, Rob.
38-390.
Yes, hold on 1 second. Oh. Have them all in, here we go, numbered order for, all right. This is the site plan for accessory dwelling units shall be amended to clarify the site plan requirements for such use. This amendment uses text from Rhode Island General Law 45-24-73B23 to remain compliant with the governing statutes regarding building permits for ADUs. Rhode Island General Law 45-24-37E requires all ADUs meeting the requirements of Rhode Island General Law 45-24-73A be permitted through an administrative building permit process. So this ordinance is that the language has been rewritten in it to comply.
Discussion now, questions?
No. So, I will make a motion at this time, Joanna, when I've had to do these in the past, to continue, these ordinances, I've had to list each section. And I think especially because we've taken a couple out, I probably need to do that.
The ones that are taken out,
will be reposted on a new public hearing. Those ones are,
as a second hearing.
no,
No.
the one, so
The
the
one, oh, I thought the ones we just talked
No,
about.
no, no. We're talking about the ones in the beginning. The ones I
Oh,
took out. in the
those,
beginning.
okay, in
Yeah,
the
ones-
beginning, yeah.
Yep. Actually,
So, I just need to know, like, for the remainder of these.
What numbers?
yeah.
I need to read off the numbers that we're continuing till March
Yeah,
27.
Not this. These are the ones I
The-
took out. The ones with X's I took out.
Which ones?
20.
299?
Yeah.
well, we are going
And what's the
to,
Oh,
Yeah, that's why, that's why you want.
Yeah.
The one with the X's, I've already
Yeah.
taken out.
yeah.
Let's, want Joanna to make the motion.
Let Joanne make the
Then we know it's right. Then we know it's right.
No, when I've done it before, I've
So
had
instead
to list all of them because there was some. I
can do it.
Yeah, we get it.
Just read them off. I'll read them off.
right?
Right. That's why I said she's got a marked over
Yeah,
there.
I-
Let
I
her
have
make
them
the
marked.
I
motion.
got them marked too.
so wait, so we are going to continue the public hearing, the first public hearing for section 38-272, section 38-273, section 38-277, section 38-280, section 38-286, section 38-287, section 38-289, section 38-293, section 38-301, section 38-321, section 38-322, 38-323, 38-324, 38-325, 38-326, 38-386, 38-387, 38-388, 38-467, 30.
Oh, sorry.
38-468, 38-469, 38-470. Those are going to, the public hearing for first hearing will be continued to March
27.
27th.
So moved.
Do we have a second
Second.
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
See how easy that was?
Tony, that's what I
And
was gonna do.
we will post the second public hearing
Yes.
for the items that we discussed this evening so that we can take action on them if the council chooses. But that would be a separate posting.
And will that be on the same day or?
No, that'll be the next meeting. Yeah. we'll have it on there. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say that.
You're not going anywhere since it.
There's Susan on the agenda.
Okay. I move to go into executive closed session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5 for the discussion of personnel according to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A1 and for discussions or work sessions regarding collective bargaining, contract negotiations, or litigation according to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A2 and to reconvene an open session and further to keep the minutes of said meeting closed and the minutes of all executive sessions held previous to this meeting be closed and remain to the provisions of Rhode Island General Law, to the general laws of Rhode Island 42-46-4 and 5.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are going into executive session.
Tony, why are you giving me a hard time? Like, when I had to.
It seemed like you were struggling.
No, no, no,
I
I
was trying to
had,
help you.
I had, but I was
We need to post the second public hearing separately. We need to advertise for it because it's a second, isn't it a second public hearing?
But we don't advertise for a second.
Right.
public hearing.
Nice. Say it again.
There was one vote in executive session, municipal fellow hiring, all in favor, positive. So we need a motion.
So, and then I think, now that we're back in open session, we need a motion to continue the following ordinances, for a second public hearing. And it would be 1833, 1834, 1835, 1836, 1837, 1838, 1839, 34, 38, 192, 38, 193, 38, 226, 38, 227, 38, 222, 38, 231, 38, 236, 38, 237, 38,
282.
38, 282, and 38, 390.
So move.
Too much.
To the March,
Yeah.
I thought
March
we-
13th,
Leave that one.
March
To the
13th,
March
no, to the March
13th.
13th.
Oh, to March 13th. this
For a
Saturday.
second hearing.
So this is a second
Yeah.
hearing for March 13th. So move. Do we have a
You said-
second?
You second?
Move in second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Right, all opposed? Right, those are moved to the 13th for second hearing.
Go ahead, Stoney, you're up.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Yep.
Yep, 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 yep.
We are adjourned.